Everything within consciousness is held by energy and is an expression of energy. And so when we have a secret, it is because we are wanting to protect ourselves, often in the belief that we are protecting others from knowing the secret, because we believe that the secret is telling a story about us. It says something about us. So for example, I may be keeping a relationship secret, or I may be keeping my sexual orientation a secret, or I may be keeping a secret about a child that I may have and have given it up for adoption, or keeping secret the fact that I've had an abortion, if I'm a woman, or keeping many, many secrets. Sometimes families keep secrets about individuals. So perhaps there was an uncle or an aunt that was disowned by the family one generation back, and everybody is then keeping the secret by never talking about that uncle or never talking about that aunt. And so in previous generations there have been those who have been put into mental asylums, or perhaps had some kind of illness that was socially not acceptable in those days. Even we go back a generation or 50 or 60 years and everybody spoke about the big C. So cancer was a secret. So even illness was held in this place of shame. And so it behooves us to look at, well, what is the effect of the secret and what are we trying to achieve with the secret? There's this fear that if this person knows this about me, if they know that I used to, let's say, be an alcoholic, or if they know that I came from a very poor family, or if they know I came from a certain neighborhood, or if they know the truth of my racial or religious background, then somehow I will be lowered in the eyes of others. And so this is also about the images we have of the certain truths of our lives, or certain actions or certain phases of our lives. Certainly, for most people, the life they're living when they're 40 is not the same as the life they were living when they were 20 or when they were 10 years old. And if we look at some of the most successful people on the planet, many of them, if not most of them, come from very poor backgrounds. There was something within them that helped them to push forward towards what it is that they were wanting. So their inner longing to change their circumstances was stronger than their loyalty to the poverty and the suffering that they saw around them. And so these very successful people very often do not keep secrets about who they are and where they come from. They're often very open about it. But I want to talk more about the very destructive secrets that many, many people keep. Some of the most common secrets are, particularly when we go back a generation, are about children, about the paternity of children, and the existence of children. Some studies have shown that up to a quarter of all children are not from the father that they think. Studies that have been done in Western Europe and North America, so the European Union, Canada, and the United States, reveal that there's a very, very high level of children who do not belong to the father that they think is their father, but belongs to somebody else. And so there is a lot of secret holding, and that is because the tradition of our religions has moved away from the mystical teachings, moved away from the depth of learning that there is from the story of Jesus, for example, the surrendering of the ego to the heart, has moved away from that and has become a moral code. So all of the religions across the planet have got this very strong aspect where they have become a moral code. And so the moral code dictates what you may eat, how you live your life, who you may sleep with, who you may have sex with, who you can consider family, who's considered good and who's considered bad, and especially a lot of rules around women determining whether they're good or bad. Apparently in some temples, a murderer can enter a temple and beg for forgiveness, but a woman may not enter that same temple if she's menstruating. So what is the message there? And so women have been taught how to keep secrets, because so many of what women experience in their day-to-day life, even down to menstruation, has been historically taught to be dirty and unclean. And so female sexuality has also then likewise been kept a secret. So much so, in all of my years of working with many, many groups of people, and 450 workshops, 6,000 plus private sessions, the secrets that women keep are often way beyond the level of secrets that men keep, for example. And that is because they have been taught to keep themselves small, to keep themselves insignificant, and even the very functioning of their body is to be hidden. And so one of the images that women have been presented with, certainly through Christianity, and of course there's more religions, there are more religions out there than just Christianity, but within the context of a developed Western nation, Christianity is the dominant religion, there is this dual image of the Madonna and the Mother. It is even believed and taught that the Virgin Mary raised into heaven, and she's still called the Virgin Mary, even though it's very clear from Scripture that Jesus had a brother called James, and she was a married woman. And so there is that conflict there. So everything to do with my body, everything to do with my sexuality, is to be kept a secret. And so in generations gone by, and when I speak about generations gone by, I'm not talking about 100 or 200 years ago. I'm talking about 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And so anyone who is 35 years and above, this applies to their parents and their grandparents. So that's within living memory of the family. Many secrets were kept. For example, teenage girls being sent off to a convent or to live with some aunt somewhere until they gave birth. And then that child either being brought back into the family and raised as the teenager's child, the parents of the teenager's their child, and so that child is raised to believe that its mother is its sister, and then publicly that child becomes the child of the grandmother. And so that kind of secret, where the identity of the child is lied about in public, or the child is given up for adoption. And in some cases, the mother is simply disowned. Families might even say that their daughter died in a tragic accident. Fact of the matter is, she was put on a boat and sent to the Americas, if we look back 100 years or something like that, or just simply disowned by the family. And these kinds of things in nations such as India, they're happening today. And certain sectors of conservative culture within the West, that kind of thing can happen today. And so there is this broader general encouragement, especially for women, to keep secrets. Men also keep secrets as well. Men who lead double lives. So for example, men who feel obliged to remain married to the person that they're married to, either because they belong to a religion that doesn't allow them to divorce, and so therefore they have an affair, they have a relationship outside, so there's an incongruence there as well. My religion says it's wrong to have a divorce, but my religion also says it's wrong to have relationships outside of this established marriage, but somehow we're able to balance that up. And in saying that, I'm not offering criticism of the men or the women who keep the secrets. I'm simply looking at what are these secrets really about. And it's to cover guilt and shame. And shame is a very big deal in Western culture. Because our religion tells us that we were born in sin. And so from the outset, we're told that there's something wrong with us. And in fact, even deeper than that, we're told that we are inherently bad. And so in previous generations, children have been seen as a problem that needs to be solved, rather than a being, a luscious, innocent, vibrant, full of life being that needs to be nurtured and encouraged. So we're a problem that needs to be solved, and a problem that needs to be disciplined and coerced into correct action. And that correct action is based upon not the mystical teachings of the Christ, not the mystical teachings of the Kabbalah, not the mystical teachings of the Sufi teachers, if we talk about Christianity, Judaism and Islam, not the mystical teaching of the Vedas, but rather the moral codes of Christianity, Judaism, Islam and Hinduism. So the mystical teachings are completely swept to one side, and from the pulpit, or from the mouths of the imam, or from the mouths of the Hindu priest, we get the moral code, and we get told who's good and who's bad, and definitely what happens to who is bad. And so this is the birth of secrets. So there are the secrets that we hold from society in general. Then there are the secrets that we tell others. Then there are the secrets that we ask others to hold for us. And this is where the real damage comes, especially when parents ask their children to hold a secret. And that secret holding can start with the smallest of things. It doesn't have to be a big story, such as the secret about a child that nobody knows about, or the secret of mother's extramarital affair, or the secret of father's bankruptcy that he doesn't want anyone to know about, not even his wife to know what his status is, what the financial status is. So we're not talking about those big secrets, but we're talking about the little secrets, the daily secrets. Don't tell your father. That's just between us. Don't tell your mother that you had an ice cream. She won't like it. Don't tell your mother that. Don't tell your father you didn't do your homework today. That's just between us. And so how children are also encouraged to keep secrets. And so when parents bring their children into confidence, when a child becomes the confidant of a parent, that is also secret keeping and secret holding. So when a mother opens up emotionally to her son or her daughter about how unhappy she might be in the marriage, or how unhappy she might be about a decision that her husband is making, and then says to the child, but please don't say anything to your father, or please don't say anything to your mother. And sometimes big secrets are also kept. In my years of practice, I've heard stories of parents sharing really big secrets with their children about something about their past, which is not uncommon, and I've heard it several times of someone to come to me, and I have a sense of a secret. I can see it. It's energetically there. It's within the auric field, and it can also be seen in the body, the way that somebody holds their body. And a secret holds energy. It has energy. It has substance. It has gravitas. It has weight. And so that's carried in the energy field, and it's also carried in the body, where someone has come to me, and I'm very curious about a secret that they're holding, because I can see it and feel it and sense it, sometimes smell it. And they revealed to me that they've known for several years that their mother was married before that they met their father, and the father has no clue, but they know about it. So they are then colluding with the mother to keep a very important secret from the father. And so the reasons for keeping that a secret can be many. In a culture where a woman is expected to be a virgin on her wedding night, that could be the reason. She doesn't want to tell the new man that she's no longer a virgin, and that she has belonged to in some way to a man beforehand. Or perhaps there's some source of shame with that marriage. Perhaps it was a violent marriage. Or perhaps she married somebody that was not of her social background, some kind of being ashamed of that particular marriage. Or it was a teenage marriage that she no longer wants to talk about. And perhaps there was a pregnancy that went along with that, and the child was aborted. And so when those kinds of secrets are held, it is an indication of either guilt or shame or both. And as we know, guilt is about something that we feel that we've done, which may not be true, That can be a matter of perspective, and shame is about how we feel. Something that we feel about ourselves. I was bad to have done that. I was less than to have lived that life. And so often people keep secrets about their background, about the poverty that they came from, or their religious or racial background. Certainly in my years of traveling and living in different countries, it has struck me so often how secrets are kept around ethnicity. People who are officially white, denying the existence of a black grandmother or great-grandmother, or people who are officially black or African American, denying the existence of a white grandfather or great-grandfather. And so this occurs in cultures where there exists racial tension or racial separateness or apartheid. And I'm referring here not just to apartheid of South Africa, but also the undocumented and unlegislated forms of apartheid that we see across the world, even in countries where from the outside everybody seems to be of the same race. So for example, in India, where darker skinned people are treated as less than the lighter skinned Indians. So there is a form of racism there, but it doesn't appear to be so because they would appear all to be of the same race. And so this happens in many non-white cultures. Just as within white culture, there are all these jokes about red-headed people too. And so we see it everywhere. If someone is of a different skin pigment or hair color, that they are seen to be a certain way. And so that becomes a general story. And therefore anything that is deemed to be less than, anything that is deemed that we must feel ashamed of, is then kept as a secret. And so the world is full of people who have grandmothers and grandfathers who are secret. People of African origin who have kept secret a white ancestor. People of white, basic white appearance, they're Caucasian, they look like Americans or white Americans or Europeans or Australians, and they keep secret their Aboriginal grandmother or their African grandmother or their Arabic grandmother, etc. So that's another source of secrets. And so there are emotional secrets, and there are racial secrets, and there are factual secrets. Some secrets we keep to protect ourselves. What if we have a criminal record? What happens if our employer finds that out? What we must look at is, what has our journey been since that event? How old are we now? Who are we now? Not that I'm suggesting that we walk into the middle of the room and announcing everything about ourselves, our entire history, but when it comes to our intimate relationships, to hold a secret takes a certain amount of energy. So there's an incompleteness there, and so we're never fully available, because secrets hide shame and guilt. And when we hold on to shame and guilt, then that keeps compartments of our heart closed. And so it's very difficult to surrender fully to our partner, even to friends. Surrender fully to the love that is present if we're keeping a small part or a big part of ourselves secret.